Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the NICEHCK DB2, and I'll also be touching up quite well Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the NICEHCK DB2 and the KBEAR Flash. Both of these IEMs are 1+1 in their configuration and are in the budget segment. Both of them are under $30. This goes for around $22 to $26 depending on where you get it. I got this particular unit from HIFIGO excuse me, and the KBEAR Flash goes for about the same thing as well depending where you get it. I got this particular unit from KEEPHIFI. Anyway, the boxes are on both of them kind of what to expect. NICEHCK has got a bigger box, but internally it's very simple what it brings. The IEMs came over there. It's got this pouch here, which has the cable, which is a very basic cable, and it's got the tips, which I will show to you in a second. Okay, but it's got a bigger box, but not necessarily does that mean that it brings a lot of stuff or a big carrying case or anything of the sort. Okay, and as for the KBEAR, it's the basic KBEAR package as well. Very simple. I mean, it's pointless in actually wanting to show you because you guys already know what to expect. It's a very simple. Both of these IEMs in terms of the accessories are simple, except for the fact that, excuse me, the NICEHCK does bring a nice assortment of tips. It brings these tips, which are like the KBEAR 7s and so on. And NICEHCK also has a similar tip. So in terms of the tips, the NICEHCK is better, let's say, supplied. All right. The IEM itself, well, let me get both of them here. The IEMs themselves, it's a normal plastic shell. It's got a faceplate very reminiscent of the MK4, of the NX7 MK4 from its bigger brother. It's very light. It's nothing. Actually, the shell itself looks almost identical to the shell of the MK4, the NX7. And this DB2 is part of the series of the DB1 and the DB3. DB1 being a single dynamic and the DB3 being a 1+2. Both of them are already older IEMs, 4 years old, roughly 4 years old. Yeah, I believe they came out in 2019 for the DB3, and the DB1 came out 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So this is part of that series, and interesting enough, the tuning kind of also reflects that same philosophy, although this time around they've got just a 1+1 instead of the 1+3 obviously of the DB3, or just a single dynamic of the DB1. And I personally feel that the dynamic driver that's being used here is a better quality dynamic driver. Fit is perfect, it's no issues. I'm using obviously the stock tips that comes with it, these ones which look like the 07s from KBEAR, and it's fine, fits beautifully, no issues. It's a nice in IEM. The Flash, basically the same situation. The shell is a little bit bigger, okay, a little bit bigger. The driver, you can see the driver quite well, and the BA as well internally. Fitment again is good. It's got a nice faceplate, which is metal. Fits beautifully. I'm using BGVP wide bores on this one because that's the one I got the best results from. Honestly, there's not much between the two of them. It's just this has a bigger shell. But it's also nicely finished off. In terms of the driver itself inside the dynamic driver, I'm not sure if it's the same dynamic driver that they used in the Pecker, which was also a 1+1, or that they used in the Rose Finch. What I do know is that it's a nice driver, and it does sound nice, and it plays well, and it's been tuned, in an interesting manner. Anyway, okay, that's the physical aspect of things, and the accessories. Both of them are acceptable with regards to the accessories, like I said, and the packaging. It's what to expect for this price. In terms of the build quality, they both are far above what you would expect. I mean, this is both of them have got a nice build quality. You look at them and they look really nice and solid. They look more expensive than what they actually are. Okay, what have I selected then? Well, it made sense to have what I was, or what I considered, and what I still considered for up to this day, which were the OnePlus ones that made the most sense, which was the Krilla and the Nami, the Krilla from KZ and the Nami from CVJ. I've also got, yeah, the ST1 Pro. I wanted to get the latest KZ, but it still hasn't arrived, the ZS6, ZS6 I believe. Anyway, the OnePlus one, the latest one, that's been a ZS6 I believe it's called, but it still hasn't arrived, so unfortunately I don't have it yet. Once I do get it, I probably will compare it again. Okay. What is the sound signature of both the DB2 and the Flash? V. End of story. It's a V-shaped signature, and both of these signatures are very similar to the signature of the Nami. And what that means is this: you have that dip at around that 4 to 6K area, which usually can be a little bit problematic. You got a dip there. So to avoid any sibilance, any harshness, any aggressiveness, any lack of polish. Nice prominent bass, more sub bass focus on the DB2 than on the Flash, but not much difference. But both of them have got a little bit more bass presence than the Nami, but the bass is nice and full. It's big. It's a bold bass. Decent enough mids, obviously with a slight recess in the especially in the male vocals. Female vocals, female vocals I would say sound slightly more recessed here than on the a little bit more recessed, or not recessed, a little bit more laid back on the Flash than on the DB2, and that's, in a nutshell, basically it. In terms of the higher frequencies, the upper mids and treble, the fact that the Nami has the switches does allow it for you to give it a bit more energy, and it is the one that has got the most energy out of the three, without the question. However, that also showcases a little bit more that BA timbre, and if I have to look at how the BA timbre comes across, or the one that has the less BA timbre, or the one, probably the Flash will take that prize. It's the one that where the BA has been most tamed as compared to the rest of the frequency range, produced by mainly by the DD driver, and so it's the one that the BA kind of, you know it's there. You on some songs you can definitely feel, okay, this is one driver, this is the other, so that the coherence isn't perfect, but it's the one that's also the most relaxed, the tamest, the less prone to possibly be unpolished and harsh. On the DB2, to be truthful, the difference isn't that much to the Flash with regards to that. Also very well matched to both of the drivers, and both of them are V-shaped signatures. That's it. This one a bit more thicker, with a bit more sub bass emphasis, like I said, and then with that upper mids and treble also being a little bit more emphasized as compared to the Flash. But they are both very similar. Actually, the three of them, you listen to them, and depending on the song, you can tell them apart, but it's not an easy A-B thing. Oh, okay, this is one, this is the other. No, more, they're very, very similar. Seriously, very, very similar. As compared, with regards to the Krilla and the ST1 Pro. The ST1 Pro, is a valid attempt. It's got those switches as well, but the fact is, the mid-bass bump here has just been too prominent, so it just clouds things unnecessarily, and just thickens vocals to what is already a V-shaped signature, and it's just a little bit it was just a little bit unnecessary. I'm sure there were people that will enjoy it, but when I did review it, I said that when you have the Nami and when you have the Krilla, these two are more sensible choices. Fair enough, the Krilla is more priced along the lines of the ST1 Pro as opposed to the Nami, because the Nami is already in the $30 price bracket, so it's actually the most expensive IEM here. But the ST1 Pro compared to the Flash and the DB2 doesn't offer anything more. It's a slightly inferior IEM. I'm not going to say it's inferior by much. It's a slightly inferior IEM, not as balanced, not as coherent sounding, not as capable overall. Compared to the Krilla will it's a two-way thing. The Krilla is the one that probably has the driver coherence done in the least correct manner. You do notice that the two drivers quite prominently, one and the other. It's not that it's offensive, but you notice it. So in that aspect, it loses out to both the DB2 and the Flash. But it's the one that, because of the way that it's been tuned, will kind of be, let's say, the more audiophile one, if that is even a correct terminology for me to use in this particular case. It's the one where the vocals come across, the most balanced out with regards to the bass and the treble. It's the one where male and female vocals come across, in more or less in equal terms. Instruments as well, quite well executed. Some instruments, some occasions on guitar and wind instruments sometimes can sound a little bit overly energetic. So I wouldn't say colored, but just overly energetic, which can lead to some fatigue possibly. But it is, if I look at it in that way, probably the most balanced one out of actually all of the IEMs here. Now, which is the most, which are in terms of fun, because when you have a significant V signature like we have here, then it's the fun factor that comes across, I think, as the more important one. It's how fun is it to listen? Is it engaging? Does it get you going? And in that aspect, definitely the DB2 and the Flash, have been able to do it. Probably, I would say that the DB2 is the most fun one, fun, engaging one. It's got a big, bold bass. Really, I mean, there's specific songs that I sometimes listen to, and it really shines. However, when you listen to something like What's Love Got to Do With It from Tina Turner, which is, an oldie, it's actually quite surprising how well it does and how well mannered it is, although it's got all that bass. But you listen to Riviera from Bob Zop, and this thing's got monstrous amounts of bass, and on top of it, not only is it a lot of bass, but it's actually a good quality bass, which is a testament to the driver being a good driver. So it's got lots of bass, lots of sub bass, but it's a nice, impactful. It's got a nice, it could be a little bit cleaner, but obviously with that amount of weight, it can't be both things, especially not at this point, or in this price point. If it was more expensive, maybe that can be done, but at this price point, it's got a very nicely executed bass. Really can't complain about the bass. The Flash's bass is about the same thing, just here and there it loses out a little bit. And compared to the Nami, which is the one that does sound the most similar to these two, I would say the bass of the DB2 is slightly superior, especially in the sub bass and how much rumble it can go and fetch. Mid-range wise, I would say they all are very equal. There's really, it's very, very hard for me to tell the difference between of them very quickly, especially under normal listening conditions. If I'm in a quiet room and so on and so forth, fine, but going outside, just taking a stroll and listening to the IEMs, it will be very difficult. It's then in the treble where you will see those differences, like I mentioned earlier, mainly because of you noticing more that BA timbre, and in some songs it's quite like Up and Up from Jeff Ryan. You pick that up quite nicely, and you see that the Flash is the one that does that one with the least amount of energy, so the one that you can actually crank up without running the risk of it becoming harsh or aggressive or becoming just too much. But they all, the truth is, all these three, they sound really good. Technically, they've got, I would say, an acceptable soundstage for the price that they are at. It's not the most huge. It's more of a cozy soundstage. Imaging as well is acceptable. Fair enough with this amount of bass. It does cloud up sometimes reproductions and can make it a little bit of a hard time for the IEM to differentiate between various positions and different instruments and voices and instruments and playing the same tones. It's not easy, but it does it acceptably. I would say that the best let's say technical capability that both the DB2 and the Flash have is the timbre and the tonality, that although colored and although thick, it is a nice engaging, it's just got that nice, for lack of a better word, it's just got that nice cuddly feeling to it. It's a very, both of them are very easy IEMs to listen to and enjoy, without you running the risk of, oh, I'm tired of this, let me get this out of my ears because it's getting too much, which is something that, for example, does, however much I like the acrylic, it does happen in the acrylic, and it's down to the way that the BA has been tuned that makes that happen. With regards to the DB2 and the Flash, the way that they've done the tuning of the BA does allow it to be an IEM that you can listen for it for a longer period of time. Great IEMs for being used in the gym, where the amount of bass they have can camouflage and smother some of the noise that usually is associated with the gym environment. And that's basically it. I mean, so, you know, as an overall, as a kind of a wrap up, I would say that the DB2 and the Flash are both very interesting budget propositions of OnePlus if I have to consider their price compared to, for example, the Nami, which is, like I said, the one that's the closest, I would say that they both ultimately are IEMs that kind of make more sense, especially the DB2. The price difference that is, yeah, even though you got the switches, yeah, it still doesn't, in my opinion, justify the difference that is in price. So I would probably say that the DB2 is a little bit more sensible in terms of buying. The Flash again, really, there's really nothing I can point at it as being negative or offensive. It sounds solid. It sounds substantially better than the ST2, the ST1, sorry, the Pro, in my opinion. Along the lines of the Nami, just slightly less treble here and there, depending on the song. More balanced out ultimately than the Krilla, because of the fact that the Krilla can sound just a little bit thin on occasions. So that's it, guys. I mean, there's really not much more I can say. I'll show you now the graphs and we'll wrap it up. All right. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for the DB2 and the KBEAR Flash. This is the graph straight away of the DB2. You can see monstrous amounts of bass. We're talking about like a 13 dB gain for the bass, exactly, and about a 10 dB, 11 dB gain for the mids. But the fact that they've actually chosen a decent enough driver for the bass, it doesn't sound as overly thick as you would think. Okay, the early pinna gain peaking at about 1.8 also helps make things a little bit more forward, so it kind of evens out the playing field, and it doesn't sound as closed down as you would think. Obviously, yes, you do notice loads of bass, nice energy in the treble, and the mids are recessed, but like I said, it's a fun, engaging listen. You would also think by looking at this that the sound stage would be reasonably big, but no, it's more on the cozy side, more on the like comfortable, cozy club style sensation than necessarily big open stage arena. Compared with the Flash, let me just change the color here of the Flash for something that will stand out a little bit more. Okay, compared with the Flash, you would again, you would think, oh, but the Flash, it seems like it's got more energy up top and more treble. No, it doesn't. It's got a little bit more mid bass, definitely. I've normalized it at 1K. You do notice it's got a little bit more mid bass, but no. And also the Flash it's got a pinna gain which peaks slightly late at about 2.2. I think this difference here mainly is the one thing that makes the DB2 sound a little bit more alive, a little bit more clean. Is it a huge difference? No, it's not a huge difference, and a lot of this as well is also have to do with the coupler related issues. But definitely the KBEAR Flash does not sound as energetic as you would think. These two both are very similar to the Nami, the CVJ, and the CVJ in the 1-1 position that I have it here, you would think that it's the one that's got the least bass energy, the least upper mids and treble energy, but no, it's actually the one that does sound, well, not the one that does sound, but compared to, let me take away the DB2, compared to the Flash, which is the one that they graph the most similar like, it sounds more open than the Flash. Definitely more open, more detailed, a little bit more twinklies and sparklies than the Flash, at the cost, like I mentioned earlier, that yes, you do notice more that BA timbre. If I used the CVJ, the Nami, but I use it in the 0-0 position, what then happens is it will enable me to have, let me just quickly align this so you guys can see, it will enable me to have or to give you guys, if you have a Nami, an idea of what the Flash sounds like, but it's also excessive. It's not by looking at this you would think that then it becomes way too dark. No, it's not like that, not like that. It's kind of an in-between, and that's the advantage of having the switches basically in the Nami. The Nami does allow you for a little bit more versatility, so you can get a kind of a vibe of the Flash, or then you can get a little bit more energy in the treble if you so want, and that's it. So Nami, DB2 and flash being displayed, compared to the TRN and the ST1 Pro. The ST1 Pro is definitely got the most mid bass. You can see, yeah, it's got really loads of mid bass, and it's ultimately this mid bass and kind of the pinna gain, which is a well executed pinna gain, but it's just been completely. If you see the amount of energy and the amount of bleed that the bass does into the mids, you'll understand what I'm saying. You've got loads of bleed into the mids here, okay? Consider that the mids begin over here, okay? Look at that. And we can actually put it over there just to make it a little bit easier. So consider that. And now let me, for example, put here the NAMI. You can see it's less. If I put the flash, less. If I put the DB2, definitely the one that's got the least amount of bleed. Okay, if I'm considering this section here between, let's say, 200 hertz and how it then progresses over. All right, and that's the biggest problem of the ST1 Pro. It's just got an excessive amount of bleed, which just makes things overly thick. Okay, and finally the Krilla, which again, as I said, and I was just using, you can see it's the one that's got also very little amounts of bleed, but it sounds comparatively with, for example, the DB2, although you'd think that their bass is kind of the same, it actually sounds thinner and not as bass, not tonally as bassy as the DB2. Okay, but you can see that graphically it looks like it's got the same sort of bass of the DB2, and it doesn't. And then this execution here of the Krilla, I like it more than on the DB2, but it's again, it's very much a give and take and depends on the songs. Compared to the flash, again, same situation. It's cleaner in the bass, which enables the mids and the vocals to sound definitely more open, and it does sound more open than the flash for sure. It does technically also beat the flash, but it also, by the fact that it's thinner, kind of also give us a less coherent sound between the two drivers, and that was really one of the only issues that the Krilla had, to be honest. I mean, it is a good IEM, and for like $15 or $16 that it costs, you can't really fault it. Anyway, guys, this is my take here on the KBEAR Flash and on the NICEHCK DB2. Two solid proposals on the budget end of the 1+1 segment. No longer do you have to just be stuck maybe with the Krilla if you're a fan of the Krilla like I am, or then the CDJ NAMI, which I think those two were the best ones to go for. Now you've got two more options and two very solid options, and perhaps I would kind of almost say that the one that will be the most sensible one, taking away the Krilla, if you are wanting to have a more audiophile presentation, I would definitely say the DB2 is probably the one that's the most fun and engaging out of all of them. Not much difference, but probably the one that will satisfy the most amount of people. Guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions you might have, please feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.